are you ready now to start the last two modules under this system? The performance management. So I think every one of you is so familiar with this system because we've been using this since I think the memorandum circular was issued in 2012. And until now, we are using this circular. And I want to ask you if you have already the approved SPMS guidelines with additional guidelines under the EEOP.
Yes, it's
Performance management pillar. So we have the review and evaluation for Module 5 and Module 6, rewarding and development planning. So performance monitoring and coaching pillar, there are two elements. Number one is performance tracking and providing performance support. Objectives for under performance. So by the end of this module, participants shall be able to explain the different elements and indicators in the PRIME-HRM Level 2, Performance Review and Evaluation Pillar. Assess on performance management system against requirements of PM Level 2 Pillar. Customize existing performance review evaluation process. So this is the cycle of the performance management. So in the beginning of the year, we have the planning and commitment, which the employees and the supervisor will agree on the performance goals and success indicators. And during the semester, the monitoring and coaching, which check the progress and provides need interventions to keep performance on track. So now we are on the review and evaluation. So why there is a review and evaluation of our performance? So this is to measure performance against success indicators. So as I have mentioned a while ago, that in the beginning of the year, we have to plan and commit. We have to agree our goals. So under review and evaluation, we have to measure now our performance against success indicators. And why? In order to assess performance and generate data that will serve as basis for management and HR decisions. So like promotions, scholarship, and other benefits that employees will receive. And performance review and evaluation, what are the documents and when? So what? Unsay measures? So what performance targets were achieved? So whether the targets of the employees at the beginning of the year were achieved at the end of the semester. And if there is a gap, what performance targets were not met? And when? So, two evaluation periods suggested. So, once every 6 months or from January to June, July to December, or once in every year or every 12 months. So, agencies may follow a quarterly rating period every 3 months or a yearly rating period every 12 months. Depende sa na-approve ninyo nga SPMS guideline. So, under level 1 of the performance review and evaluation, there are individual performance evaluation. Review evaluations involves validation of self-rating by immediate supervisor based on documented accomplishments. So, based on the IPCR prepared by the employees. And for the practices, the manager or supervisor can describe, explain how individual performance is reviewed and evaluated. So this is now the interview portion during the assessment that will be uh, done by the region. So ang interview, the tell me portion. Then the competencies monitors the alignment of individual and unit performance. Monitors the alignment of individual and unit performance assessment in collaboration with the performance management team and managers or supervisors, and provides recommendations for element number 2 under review and evaluation is calibrating performance assessment. This is now the work of the performance management team or the PMT. So for the system, agency has a customized process for reviewing performance assessments to ensure agreed performance standards have been applied. Managers for practices, managers or supervisors can explain how agreed performance standards are applied in reviewing individual performance assessments. And for competencies, monitors consistency in application of policies and guidelines in the process for calibrating performance assessments in collaboration with the PMT, and provides recommendations for improvement. So what are the documents or the evidence requirements under level 2? So level 2 process involves validation of employee self-rating by managers, supervisors based on documented accomplishments. So this is now the DPCR, IPCR with self-rate supervisor. So this is now at the end of the rating period. So see for example from January to June. And the performance dashboard with actual performance assessment. So remember the evidence requirements to be submitted under the performance management system. So this is the process flow, the performance review evaluation process based on CSAMC number 6 series of 2012. So office performance assessment. Then office submits the accomplishment office. Then the planning office consolidates, reviews, validates, and evaluates initial performance assessments based on submitted accomplishments and arrive an assessment result. Then after that, the planning office forwards assessment results to the PMT for review. Then PMT calibrates assessment result and recommends ratings to agency head. Then agency head determines final rating of office and back to the planning office or forward to the planning office. Then planning office shares final office assessment to each office, and office uses assessment as this is in the assessment of individual staff members. So this is now the after ma-return ang rating sa the whole office, ibalik siya sa every department, and this will now be the basis sa pag-rate sa mga employees. So this is the process flow for the performance assessment for individual employees. Supervisor assesses individual performance based on the individual performance commitment, and supervisor discusses employees' assessment with concerned employee. And supervisor submits a complete individual IPCR form to the head of office, and the head of office determines final assessment of employee. Then the head of office notifies employee of final performance assessment, and the head of office arrives at a summary list of individual ratings and submit to the HRM or personnel office. So this process involves validation of employee self-rating by managers, supervisors based on documented accomplishments. Level 2. Under the level 2, individual employee assesses performance vis-a-vis the individual performance commitment. Individual indicates self-rating in the individual performance commitment, and supervisor assesses individual self-rating vis-a-vis documented accomplishments. Supervisor arrives at a rating and include qualitative comments, observations, and recommendations. Then supervisor discusses the rating with the ratee. So if the ratee agrees with the rating, then finalize IPCR and endorses to HR and PMT. It validates IPCR and PMT endorses to head of office. Then head of office approves signed IPCR, and the approved signed IPCR will be forwarded to concerned office for summary of individual ratings. And the head of office notifies individual employee of his or her final performance rating. If the employee will not agree with the rating, supervisor and RITI refers to the agreed success indicators side by side compare with documented accomplishments and performance monitoring tool. And the employees and the supervisor will agree. If not, then the employee will file an appeal. So this is a sample performance review evaluation process with validation of self-rating. So number one, individual assesses performance vis-a-vis commitments made at the start of the rating period and submits. Supervisor assesses individual employee performance assessment vis-a-vis documented accomplishments. The performance rating shall be based on records of accomplishments, such that rating for planned and or intervening tasks shall always be supported by reports, documentation, or any outputs as proof of actual performance. So the employees cannot just claim a rating without a supporting documents. So in our case, for example, uh, I am an appointment processor. So before I can claim a rating of 4 or 5, our logbook for appointment must show that uh, I have accomplished that much, that I can be rated 5 or 4. And it is expected that supervisor keeps documents and evidence on the kind of outputs of individual employees which shall be used as basis for employees' assessment. This should be established and made present as early as the performance monitoring phase of. In rating the employee, this includes the timeliness, the quality of work, and the other success indicators. And number three, supervisor the concerned employee. Number four, if RITI and immediate supervisor agrees on the supervisor's rating, IPCR shall be endorsed to the PMT, who will review and validate rating vis-a-vis documented accomplishments and performance standards. If RITI and immediate supervisor did not agree on the supervisor's rating, both refers to the agreed approved success indicators and side by side or compare with the tool for a more objective assessment. We shall accordingly arrive at a rating based on proof of evidences and forward to the PMT for validation. Number six, to head of office final performance rating based on proof of performance endorsed by the PMT. Number eight, head of office may adopt mechanisms to assist him care in ensuring fairness and transparency, engaging performance level ways that the employees can file an appeal with the PMT. Example, within 5 days after the performance assessment with the supervisor. An individual employee, however, shall not be allowed to protest the performance ratings of other co-employees. Ratings obtained by other employees can only be used as basis or reference for comparison in appealing one's individual performance rating. Number two, the PMT shall decide on the appeals within, for example, 1 month is guidelines. Lodge at any PMT jurisdiction of various PMTs in an agency. For example, the decision of the provincial PMT is appealable to the regional PMT, which decision is in turn appealable to the hello, I would like to check my audio if it is okay. Sa akong signal. Can I nag-chat? So may I now proceed? Putol-putol? Na
Uh,
signal.
everyone, i-confirm sa nako, okay ra ba ang kuan, audio or kuan, putol-putol siya?
Let's have a break for 5 minutes. We will fix our audio and check our internet connection. So number three, employees or officials or employees who are separated from the service on the basis of unsatisfactory or poor performance rating can appeal their separation to the CSC or its legal office, regional office rather, within 15 days from the receipt of the order or notice of separation. So this is one of the level 2 evidence requirement sample. So sample validation of rating. So DPCR, IPCR will with self-rating confirmed by immediate supervisor. So one of the evidence requirements is the DPCR or the IPCR. So as you will notice, put is the new hires oriented. So I think this IPCR belongs to the HRD. So the output is new hires oriented and the success indicator is 100% new hires oriented on the 14th day from assumption to duty with satisfactory rating. And the actual accomplishment is 90% new hires oriented on the 6th day from assumption to duty with very satisfactory rating. So ang self-rating sa employee is all 5. So you will notice that the supervisor's rating is the quantity is 4, the efficiency is 4, and the timeliness is 5 with the average or of 4.33. And the rating will be endorsed to the HRD. So the SPMS is really a teamwork orientation. One cannot work alone. You need your teammate. So the average of all individual performance assessments shall not go higher than the collective performance assessment of the office. So meaning to say nga ang usa ka department or division dili pwede mo go higher ang iyang rating sa the whole office uh, performance rating. So say for example, if the office only got a rating of very satisfactory and the division cannot claim an outstanding rating since the collective rating is only very satisfactory. So another sample ratings of accomplishments, success indicators, SPMS post-training evaluation report prepared and submitted to the department head within 5 days from the end of training with 2 revisions at most.
So the actual accomplishments is post-training evaluation report for the January 13 to 15, 2021 is PMS training submitted to the department head on January 21, 2021. So 3 days from the end of the training with one revision. So you will notice that the target dates to submit the report here is 5 days. And the actual accomplishment is the training division was able to submit it in 3 days only. And instead of the target indicators is 2 revision and the result or the actual accomplishment is 1 revision only. So the rating is for the quantity is 4 and the timeliness is 5. Then the average is 4.5. So rating metrics per success indicator. IPCR of employee number 2. So the success indicator is PMS post-training evaluation report prepared and submitted to the department head within 5 days from end of training with 2 revisions at most. So the quantity is number of revisions. 5, if your rating is 5, meaning to say no revisions. And if the rating is 4, 1 revision. And if you meet the target only of 2 revisions, your rating is satisfactory or 3. And if it exceeds the target of 2 revisions, in this case 3 revisions, so 2 or unsatisfactory. And if more than 3 revisions, then the rating must be 1. So, ang efficiency, manotice ninyo na not applicable. So, wala sila success indicator for the efficiency. And the timeliness is 5 days. So, the report must be submitted within 5 days. However, it was submitted within 3 days. So, to get a 5 rating.
Ito lang niya ka-speaker sa ako ng record.
Ibalik sa kuno ko palihog lang. Down pa. Okay na. No. Next slide, please. No. Next, please. Thank you, Alex. So, if the rating will be 4, it should be done within 4 days. So, the report must be submitted within 4 days. And if you meet the target only, which is 5 days within which to submit the report, you will get a rating of 3 only. And if it exceeds 1 day, then the rating will be 2. And if it is beyond 6 days, then the rating is 1. So another sample is SPMS post. Ano mo naman nila? So sample number 2, rating metrics, success indicator. 100% of requests for certification of employment process and released to client within 3 days from receipt. So, 100% of requests processed and released to client within 3 days. To get a 4 rating, it should be 99% to 90% of requests processed and released to client within 3 days. And 89% to 80% of requests processed and released to client within 3 days, the rating is 3. And if it is 79 to 70% of requests processed, move like if it is 79 to 70% of requests processed and released to client within 3 days, the rating is 2. And if it is less than 70% of requests processed and released to client within 3 days, the rating is 1. Are you still with me? Kindly show a thumbs up. So request for certification of employment monitoring sheet. So kani siya morning one of the evidence requirements. So kinsa tong mga tao nga nag-request for employment certificate. So one of the sample for evidence requirement. So you will notice that the date of receipt is indicated, the date of release, and the days spent. So this is how to compute. E equals to number of requests processed released within 3 days from receipt over number of requests received. So, ang iyang na-accomplish is 90%. So, to balik sa next, balik sa isa ka slide, sa na-accomplish ang 90. Before anilek. So, kung 90 going back, so ang iyang rating is only 4, which is very satisfactory. So we will now go to element number 2, calibrating performance assessments. Agency has a customized process for reviewing performance assessments to ensure agreed performance standards have been applied under system. For practices, managers, supervisors can explain how agreed performance standards are applied in reviewing individual performance assessments. Under competencies, monitors consistency in application of policies and guidelines in the process for calibrating performance assessments in collaboration with the PMP and provides recommendations for improvement. To adjust so it can be used in an accurate, exact way. So calibrate means to adjust so it can be used in an accurate and exact way, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary. So to measure something an exact and precise way. So under calibrating performance assessments, under level 1, process compliant with CSC and other relevant guidelines. Under level 2, customized review process to ensure application of agreed performance standards. So what are the evidence requirements under this? Documentation on internal processes used to review performance assessments vis-a-vis performance standards. So one of these is the minutes of meeting during the calibration. So calibrating performance assessments based on CSC-MC number 6 series of 2012. Result of office performance assessments shall be submitted to the PMT for calibration and recommendation to the agency, to the head of agency. Number 2, the head of agency shall determine the final rating of offices or units. Number 3, an agency performance review conference shall be conducted annually by the planning office for the purpose of discussing the office assessment with concerned heads of offices, and this shall include participation of the financial office as regards budget utilization. Number 4, to ensure complete and comprehensive performance review, all offices shall submit a quarterly accomplishment report to the planning office based on the SPMS calendar. Number 5, any issue or appeal protest on the office assessment shall be articulated by the concerned head of office and decided by the agency head during the agency performance review conference. Hence, the final rating shall no longer be appealable or contestable after the conference. For level 2 calibration session, sample process flow. So supervisors validates initial performance evaluation, including proposed rating. Then supervisors who supervise similar groups of employees meet and post names and ratings for all to review. Then supervisors review and discuss proposed performance ratings for every employee. So supervisors adjust ratings to assure accuracy and consistency if needed. Final performance evaluation ratings and reports are prepared. So this calibration was adopted from the Society of Human Resource Management. So customized review process to ensure application of agreed performance standards. So if you want to be accredited under level 2, then your system must be customized. So level 2, evidence requirements. Documentation and internal processes used to review performance assessments vis-a-vis performance standards. So PMT calibration of supervisors rating. So the output is new hires oriented. Then the success indicator is 100 new hires oriented on the 14th day from assumption to duty with satisfactory rating. And the actual accomplishment is 90% or 9/10 new hires oriented on the 6th day from assumption to duty with very satisfactory rating. So the self-rating of the employee is quantity is 5, efficiency is 5, timeliness is 5, and the average is 5. So meaning to say 100% of the new hires were conducted or has been oriented. While the supervisor's rating, the quantity is only 4. Why it is 4? Because the actual accomplishment is only 90% or 9/10 among the high risk. So, wala niya na perfect na ang 100% or the 10 new employees were oriented. So, 90% represents only 4. And the efficiency is 4 also. And the timeliness, since the target for timeliness is 14th day from the assumption to duty, However, the HR office was able to conduct the orientation on the 6th day from the assumption to duty. Hence, the rating is 5. So the average rating is 4.3. So, however, the HRD reviewed the rating. So this is now the rating of the HRD, which coincides with the supervisor's rating. And the PMT calibration, so you will notice that the PMT did not agree with the timeliness as 5. So 4 lang ang rating sa PMT. So the average is 4. So the form must be signed by the PMT Secretariat. Then it reviewed by the PMT chairperson and members, and it should be noted by the head of the agency. So this is now the minutes of the calibration meeting. So one of the ERs or evidence requirements. So number 1 is the number of attendees during the meeting or the member of the PMT. Then the determination of quorum, if there is a quorum, and the call to order, then approval of minutes of previous meeting, then business arising from minutes of previous meeting, then the agenda. Then what are the issues and concerns? What are the issues and concerns? Then the agreement. The agreements made. So the time of adjournment of the meeting should be indicated, and it should be signed by the HR secretariat as the one who prepared the minutes, and it's reviewed by the PMT chairperson and members, and it should be noted by the head of the agency. So this is a sample of the performance monitoring and coaching. So compared from level 1, transactional, to level 2, process defined. So performance tracking under the system, the agency, under level 1, transactional, the agency has tools that manages supervisions used to track individual performance. So while level 2 process defined, the agency has processes, example, periodic review that manages supervisions and employees used to track individual performance. So these are samples for the coaching. Balik sa paliblig. Tools, coaching tools. So performance review and evaluation, it includes examine self-assessment rating and identify strengths and gaps in order to come up with recommended policy enhancement. So we will skip this. Excuse sa Alex. So do you have any question under module 5? Hello? Yes, may I know if you have any questions under module 5?
None so far.
Loud and clear? I know that mura na ta ani ga masteral degree since the SPM was way back 2012. So we will move to module 6. Are we still okay? Can we proceed now to module 6?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for waiting. So this is now the last module under performance management system. So performance development planning pillar in PM level 2. So module 6. Alex, next slide please. Ano na? Okay, for our objectives under development planning, by the end of this module, participants shall be able to explain the different elements and indicators in the PRIME-HRM Level 2 Performance Development Planning pillar. Assess on performance management system against requirements of PM Level 2 pillar. Enumerate opportunities for improvements that can be used to customize existing PDP pillar guidelines and IDP form. So going back to our performance management cycle, we are now on the 4th cycle. So from planning and commitment, monitoring and coaching, review and evaluation, we are now on rewarding and development planning. So in rewarding and development planning, it recognizes a successful performance and identify areas for improvement and appropriate interventions. So rewarding and development planning purposes, it corrects performance problem caused by competency gap and reinforce and sustain performance and hone potentials for higher level responsibilities. So we have elements under performance rewarding and development planning, element under development and planning. So we have system, practices, and competencies. Under system, agency uses customized planning templates like IDP to discuss and document employees' development areas and to recommend interventions. Manager, supervisor can describe, explain how they conduct performance discussion and or coaching to involve employees in preparing their individual development plans. Competencies develops customized planning templates and guidelines for documenting comments and recommendations on employees' development areas and recommended interventions. So the objectives under the pillar element development planning is the process. It is the process of identifying workforce competency gaps or areas for development and laying down the learning and development interventions and other actions needed to effectively address the gaps or develop and or enhance competency. So what are the important things to know under development planning? So the key task under development planning is isolate competency gaps that affected achievement of performance objectives and identify learning interventions to address existing gaps. So in the interventions to address existing gaps. So in this area, it is not only sending employees to training. So possibly this area is dili lang training but coaching, actual coaching sa iyahang workplace. Then identify competencies areas for further enhancement. Identify learning and development interventions to reinforce or sustain performance. If appropriate, identify anticipated new roles or projects that staff can take on. Identify development interventions to prepare staff to the next level. So documents action steps that will be undertaken to improve, enhance staff performance and develop potential. So these are the features under individual development planning for individual employees. Then this will be accomplished during performance evaluation. And it should be discussed and agreed upon by staff and supervisor. So individual development planning should be conducted prior to the start of the next rating period. And it should be an appropriate development interventions shall be made available by the head of office and supervisors in coordination with the Human Resource Development Office or its counterpart. So this is very important. Why it should be done before the next rating period. So say for example, an employee has a gap in his or her performance. So in order to correct, it should be the IDP should be conducted prior to the next rating period. And it should be appropriate. So what are the types of development plan? It's either team development plan or agency learning and development plan. So in this case, agency uses customized planning templates. For example, the IDP of the employees to discuss and document employees' development areas and to recommend interventions. So what are the objectives under development planning? Under the pillar element of development planning. For level 1, use of CSC prescribed form, the IPCR, to record comments and recommendations on improving employees' performance based on performance evaluation results. while on level 2, it uses the customized planning templates. For example, individual development plan to discuss and document employees' development areas and to recommend interventions. So you will notice that in level 1, it is based only on performance evaluation results, while in level 2, it is based on the recommended interventions. So what are the requirement evidence? Sample accomplished customized IDP for performance improvement or enhancement. So this is a sample of individual performance commitment and review. So this is under CSC IPCR form based on CSC MC number 6, series of 2012, or the guidelines in the establishment and implementation of the agency SPMS. So level 1, use of CSC prescribed form. Next, pwede mabalik sa previous slide. So you will notice that under level 1, below the outputs or the final rating is the comments recommendation for development purposes. So the supervisor must write some recommendations, some comments and recommendation for the development of an employee. For level 2, elements of an individual development plan, priority competency areas for development or enhancement. It should be based on competency development objectives, which is the action plan. There should be an activities, the timeliness, and the support requirements. So the use of customized planning templates to discuss and document employees' development areas and to recommend interventions. So what are the data source? The performance review and evaluation and or career development plan. Next, what should the employee achieve under competency development objectives? Next is the activities, the identified activities to address the gap, develop, enhance competencies. And the timeliness, so target timeline to address the implementation of the identified activities. And the support requirements, resources needed to implement the plan. So it is very clear that there should be an activity and the activities should be timeline and there is a support requirement. And if there is a performance gap, lagging in satisfaction rating, development area is communicating effectively, specifically delivering presentations to different agencies. So that is the priority competency areas for development or enhancement. Data source, performance review and evaluation. What should the employee achieve? Improve communicating effectively as a competency to increase PAC satisfaction level from 90% to at least 94%. Very satisfactory rating in the areas of facilitation. So that is the competency development objectives. So the activities, training. So the timeline within the next performance rating period. So what are the resources? training budget, supervisor support. So the supervisor support is very important in order that the employee will be able to achieve his performance gap. So this is a sample individual development plan. The name of the agency and the caption, individual development plan for the year, for example, 2021. The name of the employee should be indicated. The rating period, say for example, January to June. Then the position of the employee in the salary grade, years in the position, then where that employee belongs, the division, the office, and who is the supervisor. And the competency development objective. So the performance gap should be indicated. The current competency level, the target competency level, the proposed interventions to be undertaken, and the target when that intervention will be finished, the resources needed, if there is, or any budget included, and the results. So under core competencies. Under functional task is IPCR based. So the current competency level, the target, or the next level of competency of the employee, the proposed interventions to be undertaken and when to finish, or the target date, and the resources needed, especially the budget, and what will be the result. So the name of the employee who prepared should be indicated, the position and the date. And also the recommending approval, the name, position, and date, and the approved. So who will approve? It includes the name, position, and dates. So if it is formal classroom training, internal training on, or external training. So what are the topics? So social learning, coaching, if it is internal training, coaching on the job. So it will come from the supervisor or senior colleague. So social learning, or if it is external training, it comes from a knowledge sharing and learning sessions on the topic needed and shadowing under the stewardship of a person. And if it is self-initiated, self-study on topic. So for example, if it is self-initiated, if the gap is speaking effectively, then the person must study on how to speak effectively in front of his colleagues. And taking evening or weekend courses on speaking effectively. Say, for example, if it is external, watching educational or training videotapes, or reading books and other publications or journals, or working on personal computer tutorials or computer-assisted training program or webinar. If it is experiential learning, then special work project on. Then added responsibilities on technical competency or work assignment. Cross-program, if it is external training, cross-program, rotational assignment or temporary assignment. Task force or committee assignment. problem-solving project. So we have a sample customized guidelines in development planning. So the rationale critical to the success of any organization is the presence of highly competent individuals that can contribute to the attainment of agency mandate and public service excellence. As such, employees' competency development should be an ongoing process to ensure that every employee is up to date, if not one step ahead, in line with the expected competencies of his her current position or the position she intends to have. Planning for continuous development must be embedded in the organization's culture. So this is a sample customized guidelines in the individual development planning. So the objective, the general, is develop competencies of employees through efficient learning and development interventions geared toward public service excellence. So specific introduce appropriate developmental introduce appropriate developmental interventions based on results of the performance evaluation and or develop potentials of employees vis-a-vis the career development plan. So this is very important. So what are the steps? 1.1, review the competency profile of the employee's position level and the data gathered from the employee's performance review and evaluation and other performance monitoring tools. 1.2, identify and prioritize competency gaps that affected achievement of performance objectives or the competency areas for further enhancement. The development plan should be focused and as such should not be more than 3 areas of development priority. 1.3, identify specific competency development objectives, the learning and development actions that should be undertaken by the employee, the support resources required, and the target date for completion of specific activities. Result of the intervention should also be provided. So, 1.4, arrange a meeting with the individual employee to discuss the plan and obtain concurrence. 1.5, implement the IDP. 1.6, meet regularly with the employee to assess progress. 1.7, evaluate results. So this is a sample individual development plan. So the name of agency and the caption, individual development plan. So individual development plan sample second semester fiscal year 2020. So the name of the employee is Juan de la Cruz. And the period is first semester fiscal year 2020. So this is just a sample. And the position is training specialist 3. The division, capacity building division, salary grade 18, and the office under the training institute. Years in the position is 1, and the supervisor is Jel Sander Ramos. So what are the competency development objectives? is to improve communicating effectively as a competency to enhance satisfaction level of participation to very satisfactory in the area of facilitation. So the performance gap is satisfaction level on the area of facilitation of the level 1 evaluation. So the development activity is training on learning facilitation and presentation, and the budget needed or support needed is 7,500 and the completion date is July 2020. So the target, at least 94%, very satisfactory rating. So shadowing, watch effective facilitators. Then the support is approval of supervisor. Then second semester, fiscal year 2020. And the accomplishment should be 90% very satisfactory. And it should be signed by the person concerned, Juan de la Cruz, Training Specialist 3, and recommended by the supervisor, Hel Sandra Ramos, and approved by Samantha Gatsalian, the head of office. So, performance rewarding and development planning. So, it starts with examine self assessment rating and identify strengths and gaps and come up with recommended policy enhancement. So we're done. Can you draft now a PM policy guidelines with recommended enhancement? Hello? Alex, na pa ba? Na pa ba
Hi,
mo?
ma'am.
Do you have
Yes,
any
ma'am.
question? Do you have any questions? Please write in the chat box.
Good afternoon, everyone. For your questions, you can
Good
either write down.
afternoon.
Okay. It's either you can either write down your questions on the chat box, or you can open your mic and then speak your questions. So we will entertain questions now. So let's hear it.
Okay, from DepEd Region 10, we would like to ask for the template of the IDP. In this case, ma'am, since level 2, you are going to level 2, your template should be customized. You can prepare your own IDP template, ma'am. What I have shown a while ago is just a sample of our office IDP plan. Yes, from BIR. Yes, ma'am, from BIR. I know, ma'am, bright na gid kay taan ni ma'am kay kanang since 2012 pa gid ni atong SPMS. Unsay kulang nato is ang mga ERs or the evidence requirements for us to go to level 2 and the additional requirements. If you have already the approved strategic performance management, just for us to have a guide in having our customized IDP for level 2. We will ask permission from Attorney Mundo if we can share this slide, the sample IDP plan template, since our central office or the Civil Service Institute has not given us any signal to give any sample of this. So I would, in DepEd, we have, okay, very good. From DepEd, they have already their customized IDP plan template. So what you need now in order to go to level 2 is just, if you have already the approved SPMS guidelines minus the EEOP, so just add the EEOP guidelines. And to prepare all the ERs or evidence requirements. e-tools for IDP. What do you mean, ma'am? Soft copy only? Hello? Is there any questions? Electronic tools assessment. Is that a program, ma'am? Okay. Wow. That's for level 3. Okay. Any sharing from other groups or other offices, other local government units? Ma'am, need ang dashboard. Yes. So you have an assignment. I think you have already the policy guidelines with recommended enhancement. From Cagayan de Oro, we already implemented the customized. Well, thank you. So, are we going to agree that you will submit your assignment on April 14? Hello? Napa mo? Are you still there?
Yes, ma'am, we are here.
Are you agreeable that you will submit your assignment on April 14 to Director Mundo? Okay, thank you. So, if there is no more questions, thank you so much for your active participation and pag-dear sa amua, especially nga gawala-wala among internet. Salamat kaayo, and we hope that all of us can climb to level 2, and of course to level 3 and level 4. So thank you so much and good afternoon once again.
Afternoon, ma'am.
So bye for now, and we hope that you will be successful in your pursuit to level 2 PRIME-HRM. Thank you again. Bye.